she messaged me and asked me to stand in for her today. So I told her yes, of course. We've been friends for many, many years. And part of what I do is I'm also an ordained minister. So when I'm asked to speak a lot of times, what I'm supposed to speak on usually comes to me pretty quickly. And when it does, I try not to second guess it. I try to just go with it because somebody probably really needs to hear it. So as soon as she asked me, this topic came to my mind because it's something that has held me back both in business and in my personal life. And you may relate to this topic, and the topic is discouragement. And so once upon a time, I was working in my business, and things did not go very well. I lost a few of my team members, and everything I was doing just kind of came to a screeching halt. And of course, I was extremely discouraged because I had worked very, very hard. And instead of having my little pity party and getting over it and moving on, I stayed in that state of discouragement for probably 2 years. And as any good type A person would do, I said, I've got to get out of this, so I found me a good counselor to go talk to. And I sat down with the counselor and I said, there's something wrong. I noticed that I only give about 75 to 80% of my work ethic when I do something. I don't know why I don't give 100%. And why have I been in the mully grubs for 2 years after this happened in my business? So we got to talking, and like any good therapist, she delved into my childhood, of course. And she asked me about some pivotal moments in my childhood. What did I remember? And my mind went back to when I was 13 years old. And my dad was a farmer. My dad grew soybeans and wheat. I grew up in South Carolina. And so I had grown up on a farm. I had grown up, on the combine, on the tractors. I was the only kid in elementary school that knew what a combine was, okay? Because I had ridden in them for years. And it was a very hard life. It was very hard on the family, lots of long nights. You didn't have your weekends free. And one day my dad walked in and he sat down on the couch in the middle of the day, which was weird. Why is Daddy home in the middle of the day, I thought. And he put his hand in his head and he started to cry. Now, my dad never cried. My dad was a man's man. He was a gentle man, but a man's man, and he did not cry. It was the first time I'd ever seen my dad cry, so I knew something was wrong. My mom sat down beside him and he said, we've lost the farm. The bank was taking everything. All the equipment, all the land was gone. And our house was part of that. So as a 13-year-old, my brain said, oh, we're moving. Yeah. I thought that would be a nice adventure. We're going to move. But as an adult, I know now that what my brain said to me was, hard work does not pay off. Because there was no man that worked harder than my dad. And what good did it do? He lost everything anyway. So I put that into my psyche, and I carried that with me. If anybody should have been discouraged, it should have been my dad. I mean, he spent his whole life trying to build something, working as hard as he could, only to lose it. Not because of anything he did, but because you can't control the weather. You can't control years and years of droughts. But that's what happened in South Carolina in the 80s, many years of droughts. And so we just couldn't keep up with the payments. So I started to think the other day about what did my parents do after that? Because we were facing losing everything, and it seemed as if we just kind of moved through that in the most peaceful, wonderful transition. And I think back to what happened. Like, we didn't miss a beat. Nothing really changed. We got to keep the house. I was like, what happened? How did we just sail through that? And here I am, a little bump in the road, and I spent 2 years in discouragement. What did I not do? So I got to thinking back, and the very first thing was my mom prayed. She stopped everything and she said, we're going to pray because we've done nothing wrong. So we're going to ask God to help us get through this. He's going to make a way. Even though this door is closed, He's going to open a new one. And then the next thing was, my dad just let farming go. And he picked up his true passion and his true talent, which was building houses. And Callahan Construction was born. And he is now known to this day as one of the premier home builders in upstate South Carolina. He has built some of the most magnificent homes you've ever seen because that was his real gift and his real calling. But now as an adult, what looked like a horrible thing was really just the beginning of something wonderful. And him and Mom had a wonderful life once he went into his real passion, which was building homes. I didn't realize that at the time. I just looked at him and said, why weren't you doing this the whole time? Why were you on those tractors and why did we have to go through that? So I'm trying to use the lessons now as an adult that I didn't understand when I was 13 as to how they made it so smoothly through that horrible time. And yeah, it was awful watching them come load up the tractors and take them away. It was horrible watching them sell off 50 acres of land that was yours. But what came after that was years and years and years of prosperity and a wonderful life. And so now that I think about the times that I get discouraged, I guess my only advice to you is, which I know it's come, in your personal life, a divorce. And you're sitting there thinking, I did all I could do. What happened? You know, somebody leaves your business, you get fired, you've done all you can do. So what do you do when you get discouraged? First thing you do, if you're a praying person, I highly recommend you pray. If you're not a praying person, go talk to somebody so that you get your head on straight. And then the second thing is reevaluate what just happened. It could be a closed door that needed to close, just to open up your true passion. Because you may be stuck in doing something you're not really passionate about, and something is trying to push you into a new direction. Or it could be, it's not your fault, it's just part of the business. It's just how things go. And you just gotta have your pity party, but don't camp out there like I did. I camped out in there way too long. So have your pity party, get up and move on. But if it is something that's trying to push you in a new direction, don't fight it. You know, go with it, because I'm so glad my parents did, and I'm so glad that as an adult I finally have learned that lesson. So I hope that helps everybody a little bit today.